Take our seats, please. All right, welcome to this evening's meeting. We're going to have the invocation by Reverend Sam Water of First Baptist Church of Jonesboro. That will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, stand with me, please.
Let us pray. Lord, we come before you today to ask your blessings on our nation, the city of Jonesboro, and Clayton County. We ask you bless the minutes of this meeting, and Father, may the decisions made here this evening lead to an even greater Clayton County. It's in Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the June 7, 2016 regular business meeting. The first order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Does any member want to offer any amendments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Edmondson?
I'd like to move that we hold item 2016-108 for consideration on the moratorium. Spoke with legal counsel. They had some questions. I spoke with some of the other commissioners. I'd like to take that off for further discussion.
Which one? 26?
108.
I'm sorry.
Number 17. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Probably moving second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
And Mr. Chairman, also, item 2016-113, requesting the board's ratification of the landfill rates. If you recollect, this issue came up a year or two ago with Ms. Barnes, and I think legal advised that we don't have that authority. I just asked our legal counsel, and he said that he didn't believe we had the authority now either. So if we don't have the authority to ratify their rate schedule, I'd like to take that off.
Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moving second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I have an emergency item. I'd like to add for our consideration tonight a contract for consulting agreement that's in front of you.
And what constitutes the emergency, Mr. Edmondson?
The emergency is that the county is expending funds for its comprehensive zoning rewrite and economic development efforts, and the necessary skills and experience that this brings will save us money.
But if we take this matter up for the board in the next board meeting, number one, it would give us time to, those of us who haven't seen this agreement, time to properly vet it. And I don't think we will lose that much more money within a couple of weeks.
Thank you for your thoughts, but I have a motion to add to the agenda as an emergency item for reasons
Is
stated.
there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
3-2, Turner and Rooks, opposed.
Are there any further amendments?
What will be the resolution number for this? Will it just follow at the end of the agenda?
Are there any further amendments? Hearing none, may we have a motion to adopt the agenda with the approved amendments?
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved in second, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next.
Approval of the May 17, 2016 regular business meeting minutes.
Is there a motion?
So,
I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
second.
Probably moving second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
Approval of the May 17, 2016 public hearing minutes for the county's proposed annual operating budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve those minutes.
I'll second it. Probably moving second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed?
We should have 2 abstain.
2 abstentions. And the reason for your abstention?
I was not
Due
present
to-
at this meeting. Same here.
The board will now hear public comments. Mr. Chairman, we do have citizens that have signed up to address the board. Citizens will be given 3 minutes maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners. Please state your name and county of residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone, and speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparaging remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
Reverend John Galis. Yes, sir. Please take the podium.
Thank you. I'm Reverend John Gales. I'm an associate pastor at Amazing Grace World Outreach Church. It's at 602 Forest Parkway here in Forest Park. I'm here today because I live on Jamco properties. I moved from Michigan here 11 years ago, and I've been living at Jamco properties ever since. Now, I've been told that Jamco wants to make improvements to the property and keep the rent at a reasonable rate. As you all know, here in Forest Park, Jonesboro, and the local area, the living situation for senior citizens is almost null and void. You can't find a proper place to live. I've gone to senior citizens building, senior citizens locations, and a lot of them won't even let you put in an application. They won't even let you in the door to put in an application. Now, what I have to say is this. Most of you all are elected officials. And I think you should realize one thing. It's the will of the people that this proposal that has been proposed by Jamco Property is the will of the people. I think you should also recognize that most of you are just recently elected here. And I think you should come to the conclusion that the votes that you all received came through the pulpit before they went to that voter's box. I think you all need to think about this, and I think you need to vote in favor of what Jamco Property is trying to promote here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, Jamco Properties, is that the $50 million bond issue?
Yes, it's the bond that's showing up Riverdale Road. Thank you, sir.
Was that for me?
No.
I wanted to get clarity.
Rhonda Bullard.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am the manager at a Jamco property at Laurel Point that housed over 1,000 people.
I'm sorry, could you please give your county of residency?
Oh, I live in Clayton County. I've been in Clayton County over 20 plus years. And in this county, I've seen the county grow. And I've seen things that are growing now. The property that I'm representing today is a very nice property. And as Mr. Gale said, he's been a resident there for years. And there are some upgrades that we want to do on the property that need to be done that's going to help the residents that's affordable. Affordable rents is something that we all need. And affordable rents is something that we have on our properties. So what I'm saying to you all is to look a little bit deeper and look at the residents, the children, our elders, our veterans. We have them all. We have a very diverse community, and we would like to see the community grow. So if you would, please vote in favor of what we are trying to do. We're only trying to upgrade and make it better, and make better homes and better lives for people that we have every day. The residents are just not residents to me. They're like family. So, of course, you want to see your family thrive. You want to see the children thrive. So I just want to make sure that it's understood that that's something that we want to see grow. We need growth in Clayton County. I've seen some good things happening, and I want it to continue. And I want it to continue with Jamco Properties, and whatever that we are doing is going to be something that's great and good. Thank you.
Thank you. This looks like John Mitchum.
Commissioners, I'm John Mitchner, and my county of residence is Fulton County. I'm the president of Jamco Properties, and I first came to Clayton County in 1992 and started buying apartment communities to improve them. And we now have over 10 properties in Clayton County and have worked hard to improve the properties and have good affordable housing for all of the residents, that's some of which you've heard from today. We are hoping to go in partnership with a group that would like to come in and improve the properties with a substantial investment, far more than we could do. And also, they want to improve the properties and keep the rents affordable for a lot of these residents. And all we're asking is that you give it consideration. It is not something that we're doing lightly. We'd like to hand the property off to a group, because we've worked hard to keep these properties safe and crime-free, and we've invested a lot of money in them. But we're at a point where we would like to hand off some of these properties to a nonprofit group that will come in and improve them much more than we could do, and also be able to keep the rents affordable. So all we're asking is that you give it consideration, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Henry Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. I will now begin to talk about crime in Clayton County and in unincorporated areas, which is under the jurisdiction of the Clayton County Police Department, and give only the crime statistics for the 3 years that all 5 of you, our Clayton County Board of Commissioners, have been
Sir,
together.
if you would, as always, just for the record, state your name and residence.
Henry Anderson, Hampton, Georgia, unincorporated Clayton County. All right. And give only the crime statistics for the 3 years that all 5 of you, our Clayton County Board of Commissioners, have been together as a collective 5-member board, which are the years 2013, 2014, and 2015. Remember, I have no crime statistics for the first 5 months of 2016. I will cover and give full and complete statistical information on the 8 major crime categories, which are burglaries, robberies, larcenies, motor vehicle thefts, aggravated assaults, simple assaults, rapes, homicides, and a total of all 8 of these categories. The main purpose in presenting this information is to put on the record that even though overall crime was slightly a little bit down in Clayton County from 2015 from the previous year, 2014, there were certain individual crime categories which total crime was up, and those 4 were robberies, larcenies, simple assaults, and rapes. Burglars defined, category number 1, burglars. Burglars is defined as the unlawful entry into a structure like a home or business with the intent to commit a crime inside. No physical break-in, entering is required. Defendant may simply trespass through an open door. In 2013, there were 3,175 reported cases of burglaries. In unincorporated Clayton County, in 2014, there were 2,967 burglaries. And in 2015, there were 2,513 burglaries, for a decrease of 454 burglaries from 2014. The final analysis: in the 3-year time period mentioned, 2013, 2014, 2015, the number of burglaries has decreased by 662 from 3,175 in 2013 to 2,513 in 2015. Category number 2, robberies. Robberies defined as the taking or trying to take money or property from someone that has value by utilizing intimidation, force, or threat. A victim must be present at the scene and occur with a single victim or multiple victims, like a bank holdup. In 2013, there were 464 reported cases of robberies in unincorporated Clayton County. In 2014, there were 520 robberies. And in 2015, there were 550 robberies, for an increase of 30 from 2014. So the final analysis in the 3-year time period mentioned, 2013, 2014, 2015, The number of robberies has increased by 86 from 464 in 2013 to 550 in 2015. Now, I will continue this this presentation of crime statistical information in unincorporated Clayton County at the next Clayton County Board of Commissioners meeting. So in summary, for the first two categories that I mentioned in your 3 years in office, 2013, 2014, 2015, burglaries have decreased, robberies have increased. I will continue this at the next commission meeting.
Thank you, sir. Looks like DeLearn Wright.
And if you would, please restate your name for the record and county of residency.
Delma Wright. Good evening. My name is Delma Wright, and I'm here to represent Janko Properties. I'm the property manager of Bradford Ridge Apartment that is located 415 Sylvia Drive in Old Dixie Road. I just want to ask you all to have, please, the moment to review these pictures. Okay? I've been in this property for over 10 years. This is a nice property that has been maintained. Even in the recession in 2010, I've been there and seen it all. This is the property that I have next to me. I have to survive to maintain that property in the high 90s and make sure all my residents are taken care. I've been doing everything. I have crime meetings every 2 months in order to maintain my residents happy. I have seen kids grow up living in that property. I have seniors with Section A that has been living there for over 20 years. I'm trying to give the best of the best every day and make sure that you all help us to pass this name to the new person that needs the opportunity to see Clayton County do better. This is the property next door. Can I show it to the public?
No, just
No?
show
Okay.
it us.
This is the property next door, Tracewood Apartments. And we've been maintained. This is something amazing. So that will be nice if you all give the vote to the opportunity for the new company to help us maintain, since we've been doing, worse with this property right here. It has been sitting there, and we still maintain Bradford Ridge Apartments. So it's good to give the vote to this property to maintain and pass the name in order to avoid this kind of issue that we're having right now. This is a property that has been grown up, and I feel safe to call it my house. That is my house. I really appreciate it if you all do that. Okay, because we have residents here that pay the taxes. They feel happy, and the point that they're gonna maintain the rates, that's really important. They're gonna improve to make sure residents are happy in order to maintain Clayton County, the Clayton County that is growing up every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Shabria Shatoon? Shakur, okay.
Once again,
Apologize.
just restate your name and county of residency for the record, please.
How y'all doing? My name is Sabira Shakur, and I stay at Bradford Ridge Apartment, Jamco Property. I just want to piggyback on something that the pastor, what he said. I know when I lost my house and I was out and about looking for a decent and affordable place to stay, that was real hard. It's so much property value, the property value gone down, that was real hard. This was pretty much decent for me that I could afford. When I moved in, I seen a lot of potential. Just like somebody want to buy this place and make it better for us, they have a vision. And the thing is, once you come together, you put that in place, then you can see something just blossom and be so beautiful. I see that there. I've been comfortable there, at peace there. We don't have no big crime rate. Sitting outside watching the children, just thinking how better things can be. sometimes we have to embrace change, and change sometimes is uncomfortable. But all of us take a risk when we make that change, just like sometimes you have to go to grow. I see that. I love where I'm at, and I would like to stay. I also love being around the people where you bridges gaps between, you know, us being different nationality, where we all get to know one another. I tell my children that I teach, when you raise the standards, you raise with them. It's a decent place to call home, that I want people to come and enjoy and see how I'm living and have a better quality of life. That it's a good location, and it's a good community, and things is available for all the people. And I would like for us to just stay there. I mean, I plan to stay there until I go into independent living. But in the meantime, I'm gonna look out to see children playing. I'm gonna see a home. A home is what I make it. And I tend to be involved in everything they're doing out there. My position right now is to, I'm the building captain coordinator. I'm trying to bring together those barriers that can separate us, where we can come together as one and make our place better for us. I see that's getting ready to happen. Progress is needed. Everything changed, why not for us? Everybody want to have better, why not we have better? You know, what I hate looking at is that picture that she showed you. Now that's what I stand out on the porch and see. That over there and see the criminal activity.
That's your time, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay,
though.
thank you.
Thank you. Tricia Greer.
Please restate your name for the record.
Tricia
please.
Greer. Good evening. I'm here to represent Jamco Properties and kind of, I'm a little nervous, guys, excuse me. I want to kind of go over, I'm actually the property manager over at Ashford Ridge in Jonesboro, Georgia. And I did want to come up today and speak and ask if you guys can reconsider the bonds in reference to the property. I've been working over at Ashford Ridge in the last 2 years, which I have a large diversity community of 230 units, and seeing the community come a long way. We have a new management team that's looking to come in and invest and do some different things, upgrade the property, and keep it affordable. And I wanted to come up today and speak and just see if it's possible for you guys can reconsider the information that's been presented in reference to the Jonesboro area.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Maybe Becky Durham. Ms. Durham. Mr. Is that Rocky?
Rodney?
Rodney. Okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
It's okay, no problem. I'm Rodney Durham. I live in Clayton County, and I'm the courtesy officer and a resident in Bradford Ridge, Jamco Properties. And I live in the back of Bradford Ridge, so the very first thing I see when I walk out my door is Tracewood. I've been in now for about 3 years. I enjoy the property. I enjoy the neighbors. I enjoy the leasing staff. The only thing I do not enjoy is Tracewood. When I was told that someone wanted to come in and invest money in the community in which I live, I was excited. I mean, it's good to come in and add things that we don't have, upgrade things that we do have, and I just hope that you all will rule in favor. I don't want to take up too much time. I'm late for work, but it's very important to me to be here to say these things to you all. So again, thank you, and please rule in favor of this. Let us get the change that we need. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Betty Kent. Please print legibly.
My name is Betty Kent. I live in Clayton County. I'm a resident of Bradford Ridge, and I've been there over 25 years. And I'm satisfied. I like it, and I want to stay there. So if somebody's going to come in and help approve it and upgrade it, I'm all for it, because I have raised my kids there, and I'm raising my grandkids there. And that's about all I have to say. I just agree with everybody else. And I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Amen. Ethel Hines, Hires, or
Ethel Hines?
is that what it look like? Ethel Hines or Hires, maybe?
Good afternoon. My name is Ethel Hines. I live at Bradford Ridge Apartment. I've been living there for 19 or 20 years, and I enjoy living there. And I'm looking forward to the upgrade, and I'm asking y'all, would you please, and think about it and consider that we need a place to stay. The elderly don't have a nice place, and Bradford Ridge is a nice place to live. I'm asking you, would you please consider it? And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Ella Ellis.
Good evening. My name is Ella Ellis, and I am a resident of the Jamco property, Laurel Point Apartments. I'm just asking you all to reconsider, to let us get the improvements in the apartments and for us to rent, to let it be reasonable so we can live comfortably. And I have lived in Laurel Point for 9 years, and I am satisfied living there. But the upgrade is something that we really need. So we're just asking that you reconsider to let us get the upgrades and the affordable rent.
Looks like Ken Bardell.
Please restate your name and provide the county of residency.
Ken Braden, I live in Henry County. I'm the Facilities and Capital Improvement Manager for Jamco Properties. Basically, I'm the bricks and sticks. I'm so happy all these people are happy with what we've done. We have tried to give affordable, good housing to everyone, and we're just asking that y'all reconsider, look at the bond issue, because we would really like to hand it over to someone who's going to take care of it and can do more for it than we ever could, with the money that they can do with it that we don't have to do. We can take care of the residents we have. We do everything we can for security, lighting, fencing, upgrades when we can, but we cannot come in and invest and give them what they want and what Clayton County really needs. It has the growth, but it really needs, it has older complexes, and this company is going to come in and make it new again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Orlando Gooden.
Orlando Gooden, I live in Clayton County. I just want to reiterate the position for Director of Parks and Recreation. I've spoke on it before, so I'm not going to take up your time anymore. Well, I would say that politics should have no bearing on your decision. It should be based on qualifications. Also, residency, ethnicity, background, racial background has no decision. It should all be based on who's competent and qualified to do the job. So I think you've all gotten letters from me. You know where I stand. I'm going to let my friend Mr. Webb speak next because he's got a more important topic than mine. But thank you.
Mr. Chuck Ware.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, while he's walking up, can you tell us what the time limit is?
It's 30 minutes. How are we on time, Madam Clerk?
We have about 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Oops.
You got to pay for it.
Yeah, I figured. I'm sorry about that. Good evening. Did you all get a copy of this on your desk? Mm-hmm. Okay. This is I was at the meeting today from the ARC, and next Wednesday, June the 15th, we have a World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And it seemed like all the bills we passed, it's just going to pot because they still are just abusing the elders so bad till. And they figured that we was talking the other the day that a lot of people are being imported from out of town and they're not being trained like they have to do a training in Georgia. So next week, you all have your pens too. You wear your pens, and next week is we want everybody to wear purple so that you can just impact on the seriousness of the elder abuse crisis that we have around the world, not just here in Georgia. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do we have time for one more?
Mr. Chairman, we have time for one more.
Marshawn Montgomery. Marshawn Montgomery. All right, well, that's going to end public comment. Before we move on, let me ask, if you're here in support of Jamco Properties, please stand. Okay, thank you all.
This concludes public comment. The board will now have a presentation of a proclamation whereby Clayton County recognizes natural food chef Shiona Shy Curry for helping kids eat, think, and live better, as presented by Vice Chairman Gregory. If the members of the board would please rise from their respective seats, and we'll have the presentation of the video first.
While Matthew's getting a video, I just wanted to mention, and Shy, would you come up, and your mom and whoever's with you? You know, I know you all know just about any day we can turn on the TV or sign online and we can hear about all the negative things that young people are doing. And this amazing little lady here, she's made it a mission to help young people live better. She's a chef, I mean, and she's great. I've eaten some of her food and it's absolutely delicious. And just, it's really brain food. Gives you a lot of energy, and she recognizes that it can help you in your attitude mentally and academically in school. And she's on a mission. So Matthew, let's watch her little video. And she's straight off Good Day Atlanta this morning. I don't know how many of you all saw her. So
hello and welcome to Snack It Up, where cooking is fun and eating is healthy and yummy. My name is Shy and I'm gonna be your host.
Shy makes it good. Shy cooks it good. Shy cooks it good. Shy makes it good. Shy makes it good. Shy makes it good. Shy cooks it good. Shy blends it good. Shy says it's good. Soon you'll make it good. And say it's good.
Don't you know that children just want it to taste good and don't care what it does to the body?
If we eat junk, then our bodies will turn into junk, and junk gets thrown in the trash. Boys and girls, in order to be healthy, you must exercise. Lo siento, estoy aquí. Es hora para el segmento de carácter. Houston, we have a problem. I repeat, Houston, we have a problem. The environment is being poisoned like never before. It's a small word, but does a lot of big, ugly things to us. Fear. Boys and girls, the next time you see someone hurting, lonely, or sad, you can brighten their day and yours by showing a little empathy and showing that you really care. See you next time.
And Shy was also selected. You were, was it Celebrity? Which one of the chef shows that?
Oh, MasterChef.
MasterChef Junior. But She's got her own brand, and so she's gonna make her own brand with the Snack It Up brand.
Now, Shy, if you was really good, you would have brought us some of that fruit pie that you made. Remember that next time? I saw that now, fruit pie. It looked real good.
We're proud of Shy and her family live in Rex. She was born and raised in Rex, and oh, you got there. Okay, great. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on. There you go. One more.
Thank you so much.
And the proclamation reads, Clayton County recognizes 11-year-old natural food chef Shiona Shy Curry, whereas Rex, Georgia's own 11-year-old natural food chef Shiona Shy Curry is committed to empowering young people to make healthy food choices, exercise, and make good character choices. The Clayton County Board of Commissioners is honored to recognize Shy for her dedication and advocacy for youth. It is her goal to encourage all young people to make healthy dietary food choices and also to make healthy emotional decisions. And whereas Shy began looking at cookbooks at the age of 4, so her parents knew early on that she would have a future in cooking. The acronym SNACK stands for Shy's Natural Approach to Cooking. It was a few years later that Shy used cooking to help her overcome social problems that she was dealing with at home. Her personal success with cooking gave her a burning desire to inspire other children to become more aware of what they eat and how it affects the way they think. In 2012, Shy, still just age 8 years old, and her family launched a brand called Snack It Up. And whereas, having full knowledge of how healthy eating and thinking changed her home life, Shy set out to bring children all over the world into Snack World. In Snack, she transforms their mind through creative, playful introspection, which positively changes how they view what goes on their plate and in their lives. And whereas, on June 2, 2016, Shy released her first Snack It Up cookbook at a red carpet event held at the Callenwold Center. The event was attended by hundreds eager to support her and eager to learn how they too can help their children develop healthier eating habits, take on more physical activity, and develop healthy thinking. Guests included her parents, grandparents, Reverend Nathaniel Bronner, Chef Jay Shawan, several natural food experts from various states, and also her newest fan, Commissioner Sona Singleton Gregory. At the event, Shy created and served some of her favorite dishes to those in attendance. And whereas, Shy also has an online blog that young people and parents can subscribe to so they can learn how to reprogram their minds for healthy eating and thinking. Her food and therapy concepts are innovative, and they greatly help young people socially and help young people perform better academically, especially in school, thus improving and extending the lives of youth in our community, especially those in Clayton County. Now, therefore, I, Sona Singleton Gregory, Vice Chair and Commissioner, District 1, on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize and honor Clayton County's own resident, Chef Shiona Shy Curry, on her exceptional accomplishments and her creation of a movement to help keep kids' lives a more active, mentally wholesome, and longer life. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this 7th day of June in the year 2016. Sona Singleton Gregory, Commissioner.
Thank you all so much.
The board will consider a request of Carol Rogers, Contract Compliance Manager.
Please take them all together, Ms. Rogers, unless someone wants to single one out.
I don't want to sing one out, but I do have a few questions after you present.
All right, proceed on, please.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. We have 11 items to present tonight from Central Services. The first one is a recommendation for the purchase of 2 FPX Nano Tactical X-ray scanners with integrated display utilizing the General Service Administration Schedule number GS 07F 595 SP. This recommendation is to utilize the GSA schedule to purchase the 2 FPX Nano Technical Ray scanners with integrated display for Clayton County Police Department Bomb Squad from ADS located in Virginia Beach. Funding is available, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Funding is available through GEMA Grant for Homeland Security, grant number GANEME-20115-SS-00065-S01. The department recommendation and vendor quote are attached for your review and recommendation. Item number 2 is for the recommendation for the purchase of 3 Ford Taurus Pursuit sedans using the statewide contract number ES-RFR 400-199-409. The recommendation is to utilize the statewide contract for the purchase of the 3 Ford Taurus Pursuit sedans for the police department from Wade Ford, located in Smyrna, Georgia, at a cost of $70,368. Funding is available through the auto and trucking funding. The department recommendation and vendor quotes are attached for your review and information. Item number 3 is recommendation for award of RFQ-2016-08 confidential shredding services for Clayton County, Georgia. This is an annual contract. The recommendation is for the award for the overall lowest responsive and responsible bidder meeting the specifications. A1 Shredding and Recycling, Inc., located in Marietta, Georgia. Funding is available through individual user department funds as attached. The department recommendations, bid tabulation summary, and agreement are attached for your review and information. Item number 4 is a request for first contract amendment for RFB Package 15-27, which is the demolition of Battle Creek Apartments for Clayton County, Georgia. This request is to amend the current contract with ADS Trinity LLC, doing business as Atlanta Demolition, located in Chamblee, Georgia. The amendment is to adjust the scope of work to include the removal of pavement on the Battle Creek Road and fencing for an amount not to exceed $9,589.85. Funding is available through the Clayton County Neighborhood Stabilization Program. The department recommendation, contract to quote, and amendment are attached for your review and information. Item number 5 is for the recommendation for award for RFB 16-07, Pest Control for Clayton County, Georgia, which is an annual contract. The recommendation is for award to the overall lowest responsive and responsible bidder meet the specifications, which is Busy Bee Exterminators, located in Oxford, Georgia. Funding is available through the Building Maintenance of the Contract Service Fund. The department recommendation, bid tabulation summary, and agreement are attached for your review and information. Item number 6 is recommendation for award of RFP 16-14 asphalt concrete supply services for Clayton County, Georgia. This is an annual contract. The recommendation is for award to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder meeting the specifications. Baldwin Paving Company, Inc., located in Marietta, Georgia. Funding is available through the general fund, grant funds, and 2004, 9, and 15 SPLOST funds. The department recommendation, bid tabulation summary, and agreement are attached for your review and information. Item number 7 is recommendation for award of RFP 16-18, which is the multi-symptomatic therapy and thinking for a change programs for Clayton County, Georgia. This is an annual contract for the juvenile court. The recommendation is to award to the most responsive and responsible proponent meeting the specifications with the highest score. That would be Evidence Based Associates LLC, located in Powder Springs, Georgia. Funding is available through the Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant. The valuation, tabulation, summary, the department recommendation, and agreement are attached for your review and information. Item number 8 is recommendation for award of RFP 16-25, which is food service operations at the Harold R. Bankey Justice Center in Clayton County, Georgia. The recommendation is for award to the responsive and responsible proponent meeting the specification. That's Smunter Corporation, located in Dunwoody, Georgia. This is a revenue-generated contract with 3% of the gross monthly receipts over the baseline being paid to the county. Item number 9 is recommendation for award of RFP 16-33, which is in-home agent services for Clayton County, Georgia, and this is an annual contract. The recommendation for award is to the most responsive and responsible proponent, meeting the specifications with the highest score. That is Southern Home Care System, Inc., doing business as Rest Care Home Care, located in College Park, Georgia. Funding is available through the state and federal grant funds distributed by the Atlanta Regional Commission. The evaluation tabulation summary, department recommendation, and agreement are attached for your review and information. Item number 10 is recommendation for award of RFB 16-35, which is stone material supplies for Clayton County, Georgia, and this is an annual contract for transportation and development. The recommendation for award is to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, meeting the specifications. That's Stevens Industry, LLC, located in College Park, Georgia. Funding is available through the general fund, grant funds, and various SPLOST funds funded projects. The bid abstract, the department recommendation, and agreement are attached for your review and information. Item number 11 is the recommendation for renewal and amendments of annual contracts. The first one is for RFB 13-71, which is Clayton County Deceased Persons Transport Service. Annual contract renewal is with Wally A. Watkins of Riverdale, Georgia, located in Riverdale, Georgia, with the renewal period from July the 1st of 2016 through July the 30th of 2017. RFB 14-09, which is Clayton County Ball Fields Renovations. Annual contract renewal is with Benson Construction Company, Inc., located in Tifton, Georgia, with the renewal period from July the 2nd, 2016 through July the 1st, 2017. The next is for annual contracts that have been renewed. RFP, which is 14-16, inmate health care for Clayton County Prison. Annual contract renewal with Correct Health Clayton, LLC, located in Atlanta, Georgia, with the renewal period from July the 15th, 2016 through July the 14th, 2017. The following annual contract is being recommended for amendment. It's RFP package number 15-39, which is maintenance and repair of fitness equipment for Clayton County, Georgia. Annual contract amendment with Ready Fitness, located in Cumming, Georgia. The amendment is to add additional equipment locations. The Board of Commissioners approved this award on April the 5th, 2016. The department and vendor renewal acceptance and amendments to the agreements for the above referenced projects have been attached for your review and recommendation. This request for all the contracts mentioned above is for you to approve the recommendations, authorize the chairman and his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contracts, and authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget accordingly. And that's all.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. Are there any questions?
I do.
And I do.
And I do.
Commissioner Rhodes.
You're in a hot spot. Okay, so RFB 1527. ADS Trinity LLC, doing business as Atlanta Demolition.
Yes, okay, number 4, yes.
Okay. We are granting or recommending to give them an amount not to exceed $9,589.85. I don't know if this is a question that you can answer, but my question is about a scope of work.
And I think the GK is here.
So 2 questions. Would the scope of work of removing the sidewalk not have been anticipated, a part of their original bid? So, you know, I'm always going to have that. Did you lowball us so that you can get the contract and now start substituting to get more money? So was that, number one, not anticipated? And then they have a change order fee of 15%. So are they charging us because we needed to change it, or are they charging us because they did not anticipate?
No, the whole issue was on our part as a county. We did not anticipate those changes. We planned something different. Part of it was that we were hoping to fence the whole property. Coming to find out that we can't really, since we don't have clear title to that property, it was a court order to demo. So the best thing to do was to remove the drive pad into the property and grass it so that folks don't have access to the property. We also wanted to fix the fence on the side of the property that was torn down. Instead of doing the whole fence, that legally we can go and repair the broken fence. So it was something that came out as a result of further discussion with staff and with legal. Then we decided to go this route.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Ms. Rooks, can I ask a follow-up on that
On that,
particular
sure.
topic? This property, 555 Battle Creek, is something we've been working on for years and years and years. So the intent has always been, due to the title problems and the asbestos and the demolition and the court orders and everything, was to raise that and, as you said, plant grass and do something with it. So if it's grass and sidewalks, why do you need to put a fence around it?
Well, the fence.
What is the nuisance?
The fence is on the side, not on the front of the Battle Creek area where you had a drive pad. It was a broken fence, and even the day of the discussion, there were furniture dumped by it. So there is an urgent need to not allow continuous any further dumping on the site, because it means that we have to spend some more money to go clean it up. So we are repairing an existing fence that is down.
So what you're saying is somebody has knocked a hole in a fence to use it as an access point to this property in order to dump, and we're going to spend up to $10,000 to repair the hole in hopes that they will stop dumping on it?
No, the fence was there when the demo happened. It was a fence that had a broken section in it. We just want to repair the broken section of the fence.
And that fence is for one of 4 sides of the property?
Yes.
Why wouldn't we just take the fence down as part of the demo?
If you take the fence down on that side of the property, it creates easier access to dumping. The one that fronts Battle Creek, that we wanted to remove the drive, it doesn't make it as easy to go into the property.
Now, the other question has to do with the sidewalks. Now that the property is raised down to nearly grade, is it part of the court order to remove all of the concrete and sidewalks? Or what I'm saying is, seems like it's flat enough to me. If it's grass and sidewalks, why do we need to spend an extra $10,000 to tear that up when we could rezone it and put it for sale as is?
All we're removing is the drive entry pad into the property. Yeah. And grass that area.
And we have to contract that out? We can't remove a drive entry pad with our own T&D department and its equipment?
I'll defer that question to
I know you
Mr.
said staff had
Metako.
talked about it, so that didn't come up in conversation?
No, it didn't come up with that's in our conversation.
Well, Commissioners, if you think there's some concerns and considerations on this, I'm happy supporting holding this if you want. It seems like it's money that we maybe don't need to spend.
Is there any problem? Is there a delay? Would it cause a delay in the project?
Yet, in a way, because we've gone back to the court to ask for extensions to complete the project. And each time that we went, the court granted us the extensions.
What's the deadline?
We've had 3 of those, and it's been over a 4 to 5 year period. And if he just said that that didn't necessarily include the sidewalk and the fence, then what difference does it make?
Well, if he's saying that the court gave us a deadline, I just want to know when the deadline is. So Commissioner Edmondson is asking us to take it off for 2 weeks. Is the deadline within 2 weeks?
I'm not sure, but I know that the police department who were handling the issue with the court system, we had to go to court to ask for an extension to finish this. And also, Commissioners, I would like to remind you that the funding for this, it's not part of the general fund.
I know.
Yeah, the whole funding for this comes from the NSP and CDBG funding.
I'm still concerned about the
Okay.
funding, no matter where it comes from.
Okay.
So I was aware of that.
Okay.
All right, so what's the pleasure of the board on this item? Mr. Emerson, did you make a motion to hold it?
Well, I was just asking to ask follow-up on questions with Commissioner Rook. She's got the floor.
Yeah, I'm comfortable holding it, but if we don't have enough information whether or not we can do it in-house to save us $10,000.
Can I check with
Or whether or not it's part of the court order itself at all,
Right,
because I
right.
think it looks good enough as it is. I don't think we need to spend money on a fence and then future repairs on the fence. I spoke with Mr. Smith at the land bank, Foster and Foster, yesterday on this property, and that process, to my knowledge, and Ms. Sherry, you can elaborate, is moving forward and is supposed to be done within a matter of days on this particular parcel.
Mr. Chairman, if it's the pleasure of the board, as Commissioner Edmondson have stated, this have taken years. My fear is that that site will see more dumping. And the funds that we used to do this, it will be hard to justify, too hard, while we're going back again to continue the dumping if we don't finish this. And I hope that, do we have a deadline now for?
Mr. Jiggy, you have 90 days from the date of the demolition to file the lien. That's our concern. We want to make sure we get the lien filed.
So there reached an issue with filing the lien so we can complete the last extension. So that's what we're facing right now.
Okay. You have any other questions on that? Okay, thank you. RFB 1614.
Okay, number 6.
Was there SLBE requirement for that?
There was not a SLB requirement for that one.
What is our standard for setting requirements for using SLBE?
With the SLBE, the standard operating procedure is that it's not mandatory on annual contracts, so we did not set one on this. So we do look at the scope of work and the subcontracting opportunities to determine if that would be a good fit for SLBE.
So if they're annual contracts, we do not recommend?
Right, exactly. So that is something that we're working toward. We do have to do some revisions on the SLB ordinance, and that is part of what we need to look at is the annual contracts, because some of it is all about the subcontracting, and if there's not opportunities in some of them, we don't place that on that particular bid.
Okay. That may be it. Give me 1 second. I think you emailed me back one last question that I had.
Okay.
Yep, you addressed
Regarding
that.
the PSCO? Okay,
Uh-huh,
great.
you did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hammer.
Yes, I have a question, and it may be with Senior Services and Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Regarding the 1539 on maintenance and repair of fitness equipment.
Okay.
As you all know, I have a problem in both Frank Bailey Senior Center and the Virginia Gray Parks and Recreation Center as far as equipment and getting that equipment repaired and I guess either replaced or whatever. Now, is this company or is this group going to be any better, or are they going to have to send everything out of the country and get parts that's going to take 6 months or more? Is this something better?
Yes, this is better than the contract that we had before. kind of like the middle person is kind of being taken out of place with this contract. So if we have a problem, they can come out directly and fix it for us.
Okay, well, we have 2 machines down at Frank Bailey right now.
We have 2 machines down at Frank Bailey because the pieces of equipment that was ordered when the building was open was not quality equipment. So we have actually found funding to pay for new equipment, and we're just waiting on that equipment to come in. So it should be about 2 months before we actually purchase it, because we are paying for it with HUD funds. And so we just got to procure it and get it in and get it set up.
So we won't be getting those pieces repaired, or?
What we're gonna do is we're gonna get the current pieces that are broken, we're gonna get those repaired.
Okay.
And so just as a backup plan, in case we ever have a problem with the new equipment, we can just switch that one out so the seniors won't miss a beat at all with equipment, even if something should happen with this contract. So we put a backup plan in place.
Okay.
Have you communicated that to the citizens that attend there?
I
Yes,
have to communicate.
We have communicated with the seniors. I have talked to them. I have provided an update. I just received calls last week, and we're telling them that we're working on it, and we have a plan in place and a backup
And
plan.
they'll ask me anyway.
Yes.
And I think so far everything's working at the Virginia Gray Center. Right, and you ordered the new equipment and also, thank you. Thank both of you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Edmondson.
I had a question just on the funding on RFB 16-4 regarding the asphaltic concrete. It's more of a general question. I know this is an open-ended contract. It has multiple funding sources. I'm trying to get an idea of why we're using general fund when we've got SPLOST funds for this kind of thing over the years, and approximately how much should we anticipate? Maybe you can speak to that relevant to what last year or the year before were?
And I'll defer that
General
to-
fund, how much does this affect general fund? I don't recollect it ever affecting general fund before, so is it, I missed that, or is it decreased SPLOST funding, or?
The general fund comes into your parking lots. Parks and Rec facilities, your parking lot here, all those funds come out of the general fund. These are not a SPLOST road project. So if we patch a pothole or do any type of repaving on a county-owned facility, this is the contract we buy the asphalt commodity from.
Do you have any ballpark idea how many zeros or whatever that was general fund last year or the year before?
Off the top of my head, maybe 40,000 this last year went
Okay.
to buying asphalt.
I understand. That is all I wanted. Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
The board will now consider requests of Ramona Bivens, Chief Financial Officer.
Take them both together.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I have 2 items for your consideration this evening. Budget Amendment 2-38, State Narcotics Condemnation Fund, to amend the budget in the amount of $185,000 for the purchase of body cameras and data storage for the Police Department. And Budget Amendment 4-102 is for 2009 SPLOST, to amend the budget in the amount of $130,906 for payment of road repair and maintenance work by Transportation and Development based on the service delivery agreement with the cities.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Properly moved. Second. Any questions on either item? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
The board will consider a request of Nella Cooper, Human Resources Manager.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm here with a request from the District Attorney's Office, Child Support Division. They're requesting to delete a part-time case manager position and reclassify 2 case manager positions to lead case manager positions. The part-time position is currently vacant, and the budgeted salary for that position is $10,588. The 2 case manager positions are grade 16, with the first at step 1 and the second at step 28. And with the reclassification, it will reflect a grade 18, and the first will remain a step 1, and the second will be at a step 26. The reclassification will reflect a savings of $2,471.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it, probably moving to second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Jack Hancock, Interim Chief Staff Attorney.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I have 16 items for your consideration tonight.
Mr. Hancock, take
Yes,
them
sir.
together except for number 19, 2016-110.
Yes, sir. Resolution number 2016-101 is a
Chairman?
resolution to authorize
Hold on a
Clayton
second.
County to accept
Mr.
grant fund.
Hancock,
I'm sorry.
second.
Could we also take 116 separately?
Sure.
118 separately?
118 was removed from the agenda.
Wait a minute. 118 is the new one unless I'm reading.
No, it's
One-
not.
108
Oh, I'm sorry,
was
110. I'm sorry. My bad. 118. Not 118.
118, Chairman asked to take separately, and you had indicated, I believe that's what you said, wasn't it, Mr. Chairman? You said 119, but it's actually 118, the last one.
He said 1110, which
Said
is the budget.
110, the
Okay, the
resolution for the
budget.
fiscal
Okay, I'm
budget.
sorry. So 110 and 118
And 116.
and 116. Okay, all right. Resolution number 2016-101 is a resolution to authorize Clayton County to accept grant funds from the State of Georgia Council of Accountability Court Judges Funding Committee and the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council of the Clayton County Adult Felony Drug Accountability Court Program to authorize the chairman to execute all necessary documents and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of the resolution and for other purposes. 2016-102 is a resolution to authorize Clayton County to accept grant funds from the State of Georgia Council of Accountability Court Judges Funding Committee and the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council for the Clayton County Driving Under the Influence Accountability Court Program, to authorize the chairman to execute all necessary documents and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-103 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to extend 2 cell phone lease agreements with American Tower Corporation, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. 2016-104 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to extend 4 cell tower lease agreements with Crown Castle, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-105 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept abandoned property pursuant to OCGA Section 17.5-54E and Superior Court Order 2016 CVO 1358-9 for official use by the Clayton County Police Department, to authorize the chairman of the chief of police as his designee to accept the property on behalf of Clayton County, to execute any documents necessary and to otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-106 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept abandoned property pursuant to OCGA Section 17-5-54E and Superior Court Order 2016 CV 01357-6 for official use by the Clayton County Police Department, to also authorize the chairman or the chief of police as his designee to accept the property on behalf of Clayton County, to execute any documents necessary and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-107 is a resolution by Clayton County, Georgia, authorizing the certification and submittal of the Clayton County, Georgia Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Annual Report to the Georgia Environmental Protection Division on behalf of the Transportation and Development Department, to authorize the chairman to execute all required documents and authorize and to otherwise, perform all other acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-109 is a resolution of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners consenting to expansion of Airport South Community Improvement District. Resolution 2016-111 is a resolution to authorize Clayton County to enter into a contract with the Georgia Department of Human Services and accept grant funds for the Family Connection Collaborative Plan, to authorize the chairman to execute the contract and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget as needed to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-112 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into a contract for services and lease agreement with the Clayton Center Community Service Board, a public corporation providing health care services in Clayton County, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-114 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into an agreement with the Georgia Department of Corrections, providing for the terms and conditions under which inmate care and custody services will be rendered, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise to perform all other acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to authorize the finance director to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Ordinance number 2016-115 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Clayton County, Georgia as amended, specifically Part 2, Chapter 42, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 2, Fire Prevention Code, Section 42-40 fees, so as to modify the time frame for a license for temporary fireworks sales, and so as to correct a verbiage error, to repeal conflicting laws, ordinances, and resolutions, to provide for severability, to provide for an effective date of this ordinance and for other purposes. Resolution 2016-117 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into an amendment to a utility relocation agreement with Georgia Power Company for the relocation of utilities associated with the Godby Road widening project, to authorize the chairman to execute the amendment, any and all documents relating thereto, and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it, properly moved and second. Are there any questions on any of the items?
I do.
Commissioner Rhodes.
Resolution 2016-103. The contract says that we had until June the 4th to receive a one-time payment of $25,000. Did we miss that deadline?
Madam Commissioner, I don't know. Who negotiated this? I think our IT department did the negotiations on this. Jason, do you know the answer to that one, sir?
I know that we've been. Come up, take the podium.
I've been in constant communication with both of the lease companies about and told them both that they're on for tonight. They didn't indicate to me that we've missed it or not. That's certainly something we can take back to them.
Yeah, please follow up and find out.
Yes, sir.
That's a contract, so naturally, if it's in writing, and it says we have until on or before June 4th, and it's a one-time payment, we won't receive it if we sign this. And
Can we amend it to change the effective date to the 4th, or perhaps to amend the contract to make that after the 8th?
It's their contract. It's.
We can
they
execute
provided
one
it,
half
right?
of it and take it back to them.
What's the proper recourse for that?
it would be taking it back to them to change their original paperwork for the lease extension. But
Can we
they,
do that after? Can you get that done before we agree to this? I don't want to agree and then we don't get the money.
So that we don't, just as a suggestion, Madam, you could amend the resolution to approve it subject to
Okay.
the payment of the $25,000.
Okay, I would do that.
I'll second that motion to edit.
All right, there's a motion to amend, properly second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
I have a couple of more. Give me a second. On the Airport South Community Improvement District Resolution 2016-109, will there be any further financial obligation from the county?
Ms. Rachel
I
Collins.
do not think so, but let's make sure.
Good evening. No, there's no financial commitment.
I'm sorry, could you please state your name for the
Raquel Obumba.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, that was it. I think the others got removed. We removed 2016-113, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
Resolution 2016-110 is a resolution providing for the adoption of the Clayton County fiscal year 2017 budget to provide for the appropriation of expenditures and recognition of anticipated funding sources, to provide for the circumstances under which the budget may be amended by the Board of Commissioners, the chairman or the chairman's designee, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes.
All right, is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. The version that you're,
After we, Mr. Evanson, after we get a second on it, then we're gonna open it up and
I'm just trying to figure out what you're making a motion to approve is all.
approve the budget as presented.
Which version?
Which
The
version?
original version that was presented in the,
Okay.
budget hearing.
Ms. Thurman, I'm sorry, Ms. Bivens, I apologize.
Is there a second?
Nobody seconded it yet. And for us to have a discussion or make an amendment, we need to get a first and a second.
Okay, so I guess we hold off on those questions.
Is there a second for the budget? Because you can't get to any amendments till you're second.
I'll second it for discussion
Thank you.
purposes.
Properly second. Are there any questions or any amendments you'd like to make? Now, I would like to make an amendment to the budget to include a pay raise for our employees at 3% across the board, as well as an additional 2.5 for public safety officials. Is that what?
Ms.
We can do all of it.
Take the photo.
We can do all of it.
Let me get out of the way.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, last week, we did an amendment that I emailed to each of you on Friday. And that proposed budget amendment included items that were discussed during the board retreat that would be in line with our strategic plan. And they were a 2.5% increase for all eligible public safety personnel, a 3% cost of living adjustment for all eligible employees, increases for employees based on the pay parity study that was done by the former HR director that was done last year, additional funds for vehicle replacement for public safety and other county departments, as well as additional funding for building and maintenance repairs. The total amendments to the general fund would be $6,834,600.
Say that number again, I'm sorry.
$6,834,600 will be the total amount of the amendments. That would make the 2017 revised proposed general fund budget $187,995,206, which is an increase of 1.7% from the current year's amended budget. In order to accomplish that, it will require an increase in the base millage rate of 1.147 to 22.1 mills. After applying the lost credit, the net millage rate would increase to 16.526, which is an increase of 0.664 from the previous year's net millage rate.
Okay, I'm sorry. Repeat it one more time.
Okay.
Because everybody's writing.
Which part?
The mill rate.
The mill rate, okay. To accomplish the amendments, it will require increasing the base millage rate by 1.147 mills to 22.1 mills. After applying the lost credit to the 22.1 mills, the net millage rate would increase by 0.664 mills to 16.526 mills.
That's 0.664
That is correct.
difference?
Yes. And I didn't include the actual calculation of the tax bill, but I did do an estimate of the cost of this increase for a homeowner with an assessed fair market value of $150,000 would be approximately $34.
And that's for the year.
For the year, yes.
$34 increase.
For the year, yes. And then for the fire fund, we are increasing the revenue for the fire fund to reflect the preliminary digest on March 30th. What we had previously presented was one that was presented earlier in March, but this would be in line with what we used for the general fund budget, which was March 30th. And it would generate an additional $958,031. And this will cover the 2.5% increase for the public safety personnel and the COLA for those people in the fire department, as well as an education benefit for eligible employees that the fire chief would like to include in that as well. So it would cover that as well. So that budget would be an increase of $958,031. It would increase their budget to $21,060,584 with no increase to the fire millage rate because we're already at the max.
Let me just say this, our employees are deserving of a raise. They do a lot of hard work and they represent this county well. And, you know, sometimes if you want to be competitive in the market, because have spoken to too many directors who said they are losing people to our surrounding counties. You look at Henry County, they raised the millage to pay for public safety officials. Even the city of Riverdale has raised their millage rate to pay for city employees rather. It's time for us to stand up and make sure that we not only say it, but support that our county employees are our most and greatest assets. And I believe by doing this is in the right direction. Are there any other questions?
I have a statement. I have my quarterly meetings, and some of my constituents are here. And I was concerned about what the constituents felt about their pay raises for the county and whether or not we should increase a mill. So those of people who were there did a survey before and after. We had Mr. Johnson present, we had Mr. Stanford present, we had Mr. McDaniel present. And so looking at the surveys, the citizens said they would not mind having a tax increase if it meant their employees were getting paid more. So I will be one of those who will admit, prior to the survey, I would have been like, no. But after hearing from my constituents, and they said, hey, look, the employees need a pay raise, so we can support that as a county. So I'm supportive of what they are supportive of, and I do support our employees.
Any other questions or statements? All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Hold on just a moment.
Yes.
You want to make sure we're clear?
What your motion?
My motion is including what she just said.
Okay,
with
I just wanna make sure the
everything that
record
she,
reflected
yes,
what- okay,
absolutely.
okay.
I was gonna
Okay, and
reiterate that motion.
one final thing on the amendment that you're proposing. Of course, you all know when we adopt a budget, we have to adopt a total budget. So the total of all funds would be $341,161,652.
One more time.
$341,161,652. That is comprised of the general fund budget at the $187,995,206. The special revenue funds would be $32,141,995. $495,117. That includes the fire department. Capital projects funds would be $79,097,027. The debt service fund is $15,034,643. Medical self-insurance is $22,633,760. And the landfill would be $3,905,899 for the total, all funds of $341,161,652.
Okay, so my amended motion is as outlined by the Chief Financial Officer, Ramon Bivens. Is there a second?
I'll second. Do you have a question?
You can second it.
I'll second it.
Probably moved in second.
Okay.
Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor,
hold
aye. Do you have a question?
Well, I just want to make sure I understand it from a point of order. So what's happening right now is there's a motion and a second for consideration to amend the proposed budget. After that, any other motions to consider further amendments to that budget will be made, and then ultimately, when all other amendments are considered, then that final version of the actual budget will be considered as a whole. Is that correct? Okay, so what we're voting on now is the proposed
The
changes.
amended budget.
Just those portions.
All you're voting on now is your amendment.
Amended budget.
As she, not the entire budget, but just modifying the budget.
The amendment for the pay
by that
raises
amendment.
and the other items.
That's
Everybody
correct.
clear on that? All right. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to further amend the proposed budget to include the deletion of those expenses related to the reorganization of the communications department, as well as the deletion of the new positions in the economic development department.
In which department?
Economic development. Ms. Bivens, we spoke to this earlier. There's an itemized list of pluses and minuses. Do you want to run through that for me, please?
Sure,
For
and
the
I
record?
have a copy for if you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the amendment that Commissioner Edmondson has requested would, the bottom line actually would remain the same. We have taken the personnel that was in the Commissioner's Office, Park Administration, and Senior Services that would have been placed under the COO's office for the new Communication Division and placed those back in those appropriate departments. So the first item you see there is actually adding those positions back to the Commissioner's budget, which is where they were before we proposed to create the Communications Division. You will see further down the Parks personnel, Parks Administration, and Senior Services. That's adding those positions back to those departmental budgets. And you'll see a decrease where we took out the funds that were when they were all transferred to the COO's office. Also included in here was, where is it? To increase for consulting fees for professional services in the amount of $36,000. So we have to reflect all of that in there to show where we took it out and put it back in and put them in the correct departments, because the board approves the budgets at the department level. So we have to ensure that those positions are in the correct departments in order for those departments to continue with those positions. And then it also includes everything that we discussed from the prior amendment, the pay increases, the parity study increase, the increase for the autos and trucks, and the increase for building upgrades and repairs. Everything else remains the same, including the millage rate. We can accomplish all of these changes, but it just has to be documented and noted because it does affect department budgets.
What is different from what we just changed to what Mr. Edmondson is asking to change?
There are two things that are different. Oh, and the other one does not affect the general fund, but in the general fund, there are two items that are different, and that's eliminating the division of communications and placing them back the way that they were.
Okay.
And that would be putting them back up under the Commissioner's Department, the personnel that we had moved.
Right, but he mentioned something about economic development.
Okay, he had requested to remove a project manager that was included in economic development that was funded by the hotel motel tax. And on the second page, you'll see where that was removed, $93,999. On the second page, under hotel motel tax, 3% discretionary fund.
Now, the project manager that I see listed in my revised budget book, is that the same project manager that has been budgeted for fiscal year 15 and 16?
Under economic development?
It's the one at the very bottom of that page that says
Yeah.
add one project manager.
Well, maybe it's,
That's what it'll be for the six, it's like on page 33 or whatever, 133.
I'm on
Page
134.
33.
Am I
134
not
on the
in the
bottom
right
right
one?
hand, it says additions and deletions.
Right,
And it's for the
this-
2017, not for the 2015-16, the additional person for the 2017.
Okay, is this the right one?
Yep. This is the latest update.
My revised, it says Economic Development Office, right? Project Manager? It's the
Yeah, we're
same-
not getting rid of anybody, we're just deleting the proposed new position.
Right, I'm telling you, in my budget book, I don't have a proposed new position.
Yeah, you
It's the
do, we're just
same,
not looking at the
15,
right
16, 17, right?
And what was the title? The Marketing Communications Research?
Project
Under
I'm sorry.
the difference there in I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Bivens, but the difference there in 134 where it says operations and it goes from 96,000 and change to 210,000 and change?
Mm-hmm.
I believe because it's funded by hotel motel tax, that's how it's broken down, is that right? So what I'm proposing is we delete that incremental increase by deleting the proposed new project manager funded by the 210 fund hotel motel tax proceeds. And now I don't know why it doesn't say total number of new positions greater than 5. I can't speak to that. That may or may not have been a Scrivener's error for all I know. Mr. Stanford is nodding yes, it maybe should have been changed.
No, I'm good. Yeah. This actually should have been for 2015. This is a new position. It should have been 0 and 0 for 15.
Well, I'm
and
reading
16.
page 134.
That's where I am. Yes, I'm just saying that should be 0 and
Okay,
0
okay.
in those two, because it was a new position that was requested during the
So
budget.
there was never a position.
There was never that project manager position, correct. And then if you look at the back, what page is that on? There's a sheet in here that shows the add and deletes, as Commissioner Edmondson referenced, and that position was included on there as an addition.
Did I answer your question?
Mm-hmm, it does.
Okay.
I got a question. On this sheet that you just gave me, it says, increased consultant fees, and I'm assuming that's, has something to do with the 16-118 that we'll be voting on for the 36,000 increase, correct?
Yes,
I
sir.
believe it is.
And if it didn't pass, which I'm sure it will pass, but if it didn't pass, then we would have to back that back out the budget, right? So
We
actually-
could. That's
but
just
actually,
another
we're just getting the cart
contractual-
for it. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Actually, we're getting the cart for the horse, but I understand.
We could.
Rhetorical question, you don't need to answer.
Okay, no problem.
All right,
Well, I do have a legitimate question. I just asked, per Mr. Edmondson's statement, if there were any additions other than what Chairman Turner made. And you said there were only two, the Economic Development Director, position, project manager, and the Communications Division.
She said only
There
two
were
that come out
two
of
in the general fund. The two out of
Right.
the general fund, and then one, the other one was from the project manager from the hotel motel tax fund.
Right, so are you
It's a total
asking,
of 3.
are you asking that we add all of this as amendments? So then there are more than just two.
Well, those are pluses and, well, 3
It's
with the
3.
consulting fee.
2 for the general fund
There'll
and 1
be-
for the special revenue
Those
fund.
pluses and minuses will have 3 impacts. It will increase funding for outside contracts through other government contracts. It will delete the reorganization of the communication staff back to their current positions, and it will delete the proposed new position funded by the hotel motel tax out of the Economic Development Department.
So your
for a
motion
pluses
is-
and minuses of a net 0.
so
On
those-
the
your
general
motion is on
fund.
those 3 items.
On
Not
these
this-
line
not
items,
on
1, 2.
everything that's on this paper. That's what I'm trying to make sure.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you've already asked for and received unanimous consent for those items on this piece of paper
Right.
from the increased 3% COLA to the bottom. and that passed. So the only items for consideration are those that our chief financial officer just enumerated, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line items that will affect the communications personnel, the proposed economic development, and the contract services funding. The rest of it's already been considered by your motion.
Right.
And just to clarify, only 2 positions affect the general fund, but the changes is a net effect of 0, so the total general fund budget would remain the same as we discussed in the first amendment. However, the hotel motel tax fund would decrease because we are removing that position from that fund. So your total budget also decreases by that amount.
So for clarity purposes, because when you say that fund and that position, people don't know what position and fund you're talking
Okay,
about.
it's 2 separate, we're talking about 2 separate funds.
I know.
Okay.
You're talking about the Economic Development Office, which is funded by Hotel Motel.
That is
this particular
correct.
position. The project manager, you're saying if that is gone, then the Hotel Motel fund
The budget is reduced by that amount.
Right.
That is correct.
Right.
Yes.
But
Since the funds stay in surplus, stay in the bank.
I understand when
I got
when
you.
we use that position, the audience don't know what position we're
I
referring
got
to.
you. Understood. Okay, so that, with those 3 changes, the total budget would decrease to $341,067,653. And the breakdown of that is the general fund budget remains the same, $187,995,206. The special revenue fund would decrease slightly by the removing of the project manager position from economic development. That revised amount would be $32,401,118. Capital project funds will remain the same at $79,097,027. Debt service fund remains the same at $15,034,643. Medical self-insurance fund will remain the same at $22,633,760. The landfill fund would remain the same at $3,905,899. And again, the total all funds is $341,067,653.
Okay.
Those enumerated changes I offer in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moving second. Any other questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. It's 4-1, it passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the proposed budget as revised.
I'll second it. Probably moved in second. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Verse 9.
Ladies and gentlemen, ordinance number 2016-116 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Clayton County, Georgia as amended, specifically Part 1, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Purchases and Property Disposition, so as to delete Article 4 in its entirety and replace with a new Article 4 entitled Purchases and Property Disposition, to repeal conflicting laws, ordinances, and resolutions, to provide for severability, to provide for an effective date of this ordinance, and for other purposes.
I'm sorry, where did we just jump to?
2016-116, the purchasing code.
We pulled that out?
I have just a couple of questions. I do. I know that's just light reading, for a breezy Saturday afternoon. I don't know if this, oh, there you are, Ms. Miller. The effort, the context, the intent, I've got the buy-in. I've just got some questions about what I might deem gray areas. Looking for clarity on procedures so that I think this type of procedure should not be open to interpretation, so as to sidestep future potholes. And so I'm looking for a little bit of guidance on, and if it's not clear, then to my point, on page 4, B,
What section?
section, I'm sorry, 4-101,
Okay.
B, purpose. Item number 1, to obtain the best value in terms of quality, service, and price when expending public funds. I think conceptually that's a great concept. I support it. My question is, turning to section 4-101, W on page 6, when we talk about the actual process and how we define, and since these are new definitions, the invitation to bid.
102?
On page 6, section W of 4-101.
It's 102. It moves over to 102.
Oh, I'm sorry, 102. My bad, it does, 102. It says, invitation to bid, a method of formal solicitation requesting prospective third-party suppliers to submit formal sealed bids. I've got no problem with that. But it says the award is made to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder based on the response criteria set forth in the invitation to bid. So if the award is made to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, then I'm worried about, unless it's a commodity, how we are able to obtain the best value in terms of quality and service. We're talking about we're going to bid on the lowest quality?
Well, the method of procurement will change depending on what you're procuring. So a service.
The criteria.
So a service wouldn't fall under an invitation to bid. That would fall under a proposal, a request for proposal. So
Okay.
that would fall under a different method. And so if a service was at issue, the proposal method would allow for consideration of the services and you have a bit more leeway than you do with a bid.
And that would be put forth by some mechanism to be determined by the director after the adoption of this, which would presumably be something like a group like we currently have.
Yes.
So if we're ordering toilet paper and one bidder has 1 ply and the other bidder has 3 ply, there's going to be a mechanism in place to determine quality versus price?
Well, we would, for a
I'm
bid.
sorry, Ms. Miller, could you please come in a little bit closer to the
Okay.
microphone?
For a bid, I don't know that you'd have that sort of discrepancy. We'd probably bid for 2-ply toilet paper and let the bidder say what their price would be for 2-ply toilet paper. And based on the price alone, make a determination. But when you are thinking of something more like services, I'm trying to think of a good example for a service. More technical, architects, construction, then you would include the service component, which would be a request for proposal as opposed to an invitation to bid.
Okay, I understand, and I think that's clear. Thank you very much. That's good work. On page 11 of 42, section 4-106, ethics, subsection I, it's talking about violations, solicitations, contact with, and the part that I've got highlighted is that those 4 lines at the bottom where it starts off with that person may, among other things. So, I'll just kind of read it. Maybe it's about the 5 or 6. The director will review alleged violations of this prohibition. If the director determines that such a communication has compromised the competitive process, that offer submitted by that person may be disqualified from consideration for award, and that person may, among other things, be recommended for placement on the ineligible source list. I have no problem with the concept. What I'm saying is, who is the determination? And if it's not the director, then who is making that recommendation? Is the director making the recommendation to the Board of Commissioners? And if so, what does it say that? If I'm making an argument that it doesn't enumerate that, or is it some staff member making the recommendation to the director?
When you say the recommendation, you mean the recommendation that somebody has violated the provision?
Well, that too, or it says be recommended for placement on the ineligible source list. I'm just trying to find out from a chain of command, if you will, who's making those determinations and who's making those recommendations and to whom.
That would be, the ineligible source list determination would be the director. That would be something that would be in the director's discretion. But if we wanted to add some more.
Okay, no, so I'm sorry to go slowly. So the addition to the ineligible source list would be determined by the director.
Yes.
So when it says here, the director will review alleged violations of this prohibition. If the director determines that such a communication has compromised a competitive process, the offer submitted by that person may be disqualified from consideration for award, and that person may, among other things, be recommended for placement on the ineligible source. So the director is, and I forget my grammar, but is the subject of that sentence. So the director is making recommendations to themselves?
Yes, but it shouldn't be to themselves. It should be placed on they may, among other things, be placed on the ineligible.
I just know if someone's suing us and they say, well, wait a minute, recommended to who?
Okay.
It seems to me like there's a gray area there.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm wrong, I'm not a grammar
I
teacher.
understand.
Would you be happy to take it off and just have them rework it?
Possibly. I mean, it doesn't have to. I'm not in any rush to do this tonight, so we can. But I have one more question.
Okay.
And if you guys want to do that, we can take it off versus trying to change it right now. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Whatever y'all want to do.
Question is, because we may be able to suggest language that will solve your issue, if that's it.
Sure.
And let you adopt it, but that's it.
Okay. So the next thing is, I think it's number 30, professional services. Yes, page 30, part 4.
Which section?
Part 4, section 4-403. Well, part 401, 402, and 403 may be in their entirety. Professional services shall be procured through the Department of Central Services. Professional services do not require a competitive procurement process. However, it should be used whenever feasible. So I don't have a problem with that. I'm using that as a basis to say section 4-403, the Department of Central Services will have primary responsibility for establishing specification requirements and evaluation of professional service proposals. The user departments and the central departments are responsible for maintaining the documentation. What I'm trying to understand is if this is all put forth by the department director, then I'll use, for example, item 2016-118, that's the next item for consideration tonight, which is a contract for professional services in an amount less than what is discretionary or approved by the director and the chairman. So, just as a procedure, would I have been able to add that to our agenda tonight if I had brought it forward from the legal department, or would that be ineligible for addition to our agenda because professional contracts must exclusively go through the Department of Central Services? Or am I the exemption because this body supersedes that, and where does it say that?
You all are always, you can always add something to your agenda. The idea of this, though, is that that would go through the Department of Central Services to determine whether or not it was appropriately to be deemed a professional services or not.
Okay, so, and I'm fine with the procedure. What I'm saying is, does that apply to this body, or would we be exempt of this? I'm not asking to be exempt of it. I'm just saying, if I want to add something to the agenda, which is my prerogative, do I have to? Am I not allowed to because we have a procedure in place, or do I get to trump the procedure? And if so, where does it say one way or the other?
And why would we be able to trump the procedure if there's a procedure?
I don't want to. I'm saying those things happen all the time.
Apparently, we need to take it off and take another look at it.
Well,
right. I'm just trying to get it straight. I want, we've had so many things down the road. You start asking questions. Well, that wasn't considered when that was written down. Like, for example, if you say that I have to follow this procedure and it's before us consideration tonight, then I'd be inclined to make a motion to hold it until after that one's considered, and then bring this one back after that one, so that I'm not in violation of our recently adopted procedures while I'm still sitting in the same chair. Unless there's an exception to it.
There is not an exception. The thought
I
is
want to
that
play by the rules.
They would run through Central Services, and Central Services would make a determination whether or not it was a professional service or not, and subject to the competitive procurement process or not. So
Okay.
ideally, all contracts would roll through Central Services.
But is that new? Isn't that something we were supposed to have been doing anyway?
We never had it in place before. as per the supporting document. So, for example, if there is a professional service contract that's in place through, I don't know, a department, and that has an expiration or the final extension of its contract is next week, then that wouldn't come back before the Board of Commissioners for consideration of extension or renewal, because per this policy, it can't come before us until you guys have, your director through the professional services has put it through. So that contract would simply lapse until such time you've had a chance to consider it.
Well, so there are some additional things in this revision that would allow the central services director to make decisions depending on the level of funding required for the project. So if it was something that was, I don't know, a $20,000 or $30,000 agreement.
Right, up to 50.
Yeah, at this, in here, up to 75,000.
Oh, I thought it was 50, but the chairman had up to 74,999.
I might be getting it confused. But it would be, as long as it was below her threshold, it would be something that she could push forward without the need to bring it back before the board, and would just report back to the board what those contracts were at a,
So if there's an annual contract for that two-ply paper that's coming back for a renewal or extension sometime after this is approved, and it's some dollar amount less than $50,000, the director could, at their discretion, have the authority to renew that contract for either the same or different terms, because that's within the director's discretion, and it would simply notify us.
Yes, sir.
And whether that's a application to bid or professional services or whatever would be based on what exactly is before her.
Yes, sir. And so the idea is that that would allow things that are smaller dollar amounts that departments regularly and routinely procure and need the services to move more quickly through the procurement process.
So, to that point, devil's advocate, I have for consideration a professional services contract for consideration this evening whose dollar amount is less than $50,000. So rather than adding that to this agenda for the Board of Commissioners to consider, could have asked the Director of Central Services to unilaterally approve that, and we would have our contract approved without board consideration.
Yes, sir.
And we would have whatever the provisions of that contract are without my knowledge or this body's knowledge until she since notified me.
Yes, sir.
Now, do I have, me being the governing body, some documentation in this procedure to override, trump, negate, or am I now subject to exit clauses and executed contracts? Because that causes me concern that I'm delegating an authority, and while it may be a de minimis amount, under $50,000, it could be controversial.
Well, that could be the case, sir.
And so how is that handled, and is there a procedure for that?
There is not a procedure currently.
I'm just trying to think out of the box. Those are the kinds of things I've seen come up in years gone by, so I think it's important that we have procedures to address these kinds of things.
Okay.
It appears to me that it may make some sense for the group that put this together to have conversations with you individually before it gets voted on. Make sure that your concerns are reflected in the document that you ultimately consider.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to revise my motion to consider to have a motion to remove.
All right, is that second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you for the work, Ms. Miller.
Mr. Chairman, Resolution 2016-118 is a resolution to authorize Clayton County to enter into a contract with Wage Star for the provision of consulting services, to authorize the chairman to execute the contract and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget as needed to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Hancock.
Yes, ma'am.
Just procedurally, this was a contract that was not put on the agenda for public view before we had this meeting. Are we in violation at all for doing that?
No, ma'am. You can add to the agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Edmondson, since you were the party who handed this to me, why Mr. Wade Starr?
Well, I
Why-
think as in the preambles, you can see he has a unique combination of knowledge,
No, no,
skill,
no.
and experience.
No. Why did you suggest Mr. Starr?
Well, I think he has a unique combination of knowledge, skill, and experience.
But with that being said, is there any reason why Commissioner Rooks and myself did not see a copy of this prior to, if you're so confident in his abilities?
The last 3 or 4 times I tried to communicate with Commissioner Rooks, she was too busy to return my calls.
And
So-
you tell me it was about this contract?
Couldn't get hold of you.
Okay, so if I'm clear, we're gonna pay him $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year to perform duties, which it looks like oversight of economic development, community development, legislative agenda, at our direction, as we see fit. So regardless of whether he's working or not, he will, contract states he gets $3,000 a month, correct? Mr. Edmondson, I'm directing that.
That's right. It's a contract that's good through December 31st of 2017 with a 30-day
And that begs
right.
my next question. Why did we not just make it a year? If you're gonna approve it tonight, then why didn't we make it to this time next year as opposed to all the way 18 months?
Mr. Chairman, I feel that there is an urgent need to consider this. I make a motion for this board to consider it. Why do I want to wait or not into the future? I think things before
That
this
was just a
board right
question,
now.
Mr. Edmondson.
I do have
That
a
was just
question. I have
I
a
guess I don't understand the question.
I have a procedural question. What I did read was about helping with community development that we've already formed out to your office, Mr. Hancock. Are you helping rewrite anything from community development?
We are,
Zoning rewrite?
we are rewriting the zoning ordinance.
Okay. Is this not duplication of services? And I just got
Mr.
it,
Rooks,
so.
the intent,
Let him answer the question, please.
The work to be performed pursuant to the agreement is identified as support the development and implementation of board commissioner policies relating to community development, economic development, and legislative agenda. Support and innovative, support creative and innovative approaches to help produce positive economic development, new jobs, and employment opportunities for Clayton County residents. Now, whether or not the board would choose to assign him the duty of participating in the rewrite of the zoning ordinance, I don't know. That would be a decision that would be made by those who have the authority under the agreement to give him assignments.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, well, I got a question while she's looking for that. On paragraph 2, performance of services, it says consultant will be assigned projects by the Board of Commissioners and/or the CEO. Now, does that mean Board of Commissioners independently or as a body?
It says the Board of Commissioners. My interpretation legally of that would be the Board of Commissioners
As a body?
as a body. Doesn't say the commissioners individually.
Is there a termination clause?
Yes, ma'am, there is.
Where is
30
that?
days
I'm sorry.
notice.
30 days by any party?
Okay, termination.
There's no
Same provisions as we've got for our financial advisor.
Only payments due under it are just for services performed through the date of termination of the contract.
That's what I was looking for.
All right, any other questions? Okay, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. It's 3-2. It passes.
Mr. Chairman, we need an executive session for litigation matters.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Items 27 through 31 are appointments to the newly created Veterans Advisory Board. Mr. Chairman, you will have 3 appointments to this board. The initial terms will expire on June 6, 2018. They're going to be 2-year initial terms. Mr. Chairman, do you have any nominations for this?
Yes, and I would like to take all of mine at the same time. First will be Mr. Wilbur Jordan, Mr. Even Black, and Miss Diane Hanna, I'm sorry. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Likewise, each district commissioner has 1 appointment. We'll begin with District 1. Vice Chair Gregory, do you have any?
No, not ready.
Okay. Commissioner Hambrick,
No.
Commissioner Rooks,
Yes. I'd like to nominate Mr. Paul Winfrey.
I'll second it. Probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Commissioner Edmondson.
No.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this does conclude this evening's agenda. If there is no further business, we did have a request to go into executive session on litigation.
All right. Motion to go into executive session.
Move to go into executive session.
I'll second it. Probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Y'all have a good evening.